Do you believe in accountable love? Hello, welcome to Accountable Love, home of the LoveSnobs, where love is a group journey. My name's Aziz,
I'm Jerry.
and today we'll be talking about insecurities, the silent relationship killer.
Dun, dun, dun.
We are all searching for stability. We are all looking for absolutes in humanity, but there are no absolutes. There's only accountable love, a love that says when you pick a partner and friend, they will show up with their daily best and you will give them your all as well. We all deserve love at its highest form, so the LoveSnobs are here to tell you, you deserve everything. You deserve a high crack. LoveSnobs, LoveSnobs, LoveSnobs. Okay, we chose this topic because obviously it's something that people don't really pay attention to because it flies under the radar. People talk about it. They talk about insecurities. They talk about improving their insecurities, things of that nature.
But
and
it's the
working on
blatant
themselves.
stuff.
Yeah, and we always talk about working on self, working on our relationship. We got to love us first. And, that I think that whole movement stems from a sense of a lot of insecurity. So we thought we'll talk about that because, we all have insecurities. It's just about them affecting our relationships that make them just like anything. It becomes an addiction if it affects your livelihood or affects your relationship. So, you got to get them under wraps. You had some insecurity. I know I had insecurities growing up. Like, one of my greatest insecurities growing up was the fact that I stuttered and wasn't able to express myself like I wanted to. So, I was a little bit more violent due to that. But it caused me havoc. It gave me a phobia. I couldn't read out loud because I couldn't enunciate words. To this day, it's still the same problem. I can't even remember sometimes, and I'm stuttering, and people be like, yo, this dude can't even read. But, if I had to read silently, obviously I can read and get things done. But when it comes to reading out loud, I did have a phobia, and then it hindered me from public speaking, things of that nature. And, and then it, hurt my grammar, things of that nature. So if y'all see a bunch of typos on any of our work, it's me. You know what I mean? I got a great brain, but when it comes to the grammar, sometimes I'm off point. So, that was an insecurity of mine. But what I did was I learned how to deal with that insecurity. I learned how to, raise my hand. And when somebody asks you to read out loud, I faced it. I got up on stage and read poetry and did things that I didn't want to do, and it was outside of my comfort zone. Part two is I surrounded myself by people who weren't afraid to call me out. So they won't even hit like on my post if it has grammatical errors, and I love that about my team because they'll hit me up and be like, yo, listen, you gotta change this, you gotta do this, you gotta add an ing, you gotta add an s, because I leave those out sometimes, and it kills the whole message. So I like the fact that they hold me accountable, because we talk about accountable love, but we don't always talk about how we hold each other accountable, and they hold me accountable when it comes to that, because that is a weak point of mine. And I couldn't make it an insecurity. It's more of something that I'm not great at. It's something that I would say I'm below average at, but at the end of the day, they hold me accountable, and it's not an insecurity because I'm able to take in the information, I'm able to change it, I'm able to learn, and I know that there's, everybody on my team is stronger than me in that area, so I'm able to take that with a grain of salt and and grow from it. So though I don't always improve in that area, I have people around me that challenge me to get better or make sure I'm at my best when it comes to that.
Yeah. I would say, I have insecurities as well. Growing up, my insecurity was also being able to express myself. I didn't really have the tools growing up to express myself verbally, rather. So I used to shut down a lot and get angry. That's the easiest thing to do, right? When you can't verbalize certain things.
Definitely.
And people didn't really want to deal with me because I had a temper. So I had to learn how to use my words and be effective with my words. And then in order to express how I felt about certain things so that I could get my message across, because a lot of times I was so high strung that once I started talking, everyone kind of dismissed me and didn't really want to deal with me. So
Definitely.
I had to learn how to deal with that growing up, and as well as kind of, a lot of people really deal with is not what you say, is how you say it. So I got shut down by all those people.
Definitely.
And, as I got older, I learned how to obviously use my words, but I also, I also surrounded myself by people who was willing to listen to the message.
Definitely.
And I think that was really important. I think, I had a lot of good things to say, but no one took the time to really point me in the right direction. And I think that that's something that I learned as I got older. But it was a big insecurity of mine.
I think where we both went right is like, I got real violent, and I had to go see therapists and things of that nature to learn how to express myself and not, put myself in a position where I'm going to jail. I'm in and out of jail. My mother wasn't having it. So, I learned to express myself. And the more I learned to express myself, I didn't stutter as much. The more I learned how to express myself, I wasn't in my head as much. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's still with the reading out loud, things of that nature to this day is like a big problem. But at the end of the day, I learned how to not have that become an insecurity in my relationships. Mm-hmm. So like when they're asking me to do certain things or to go outside my comfort zone or to read out loud or to, correct my grammar or, I'm on a public stage, maybe embarrassing myself and they want to check me and make sure they don't just, it's okay. They like, yeah, you got to go up there a little bit more prepared. They step up and I don't shut down mm-hmm. or I don't tell them it's them. Mm-hmm. Or I don't say you're making me feel a certain way. I take in the information because I believe that the people around me are being constructive.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say constructive. I'm just saying criticism. It's constructive when you the way you take it in. Mm-hmm. So you know who it's coming from. And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong because you have people around you that you're still protecting yourself from. And I think that's a big part of the insecurity, that you're not really trustworthy. You don't trust them. Mm-hmm. You're unable to be honest. And we do live in a world, wouldn't you say, in a society that, rather you sugarcoat it than actually be as blunt or as straightforward as you can be, especially in your relationships.
Well, yeah, as soon as as soon as insecurities creep in, you kind of expect someone to cater to your emotions, and that can go left, right, up, down. All it doesn't really create a solid foundation because emotions waver, and and they because they change day to day how you feel. I mean, it depending on
depends on how you woke up.
Yeah, environmental.
Whether you had an argument with your partner, your friends.
So it's really hard to keep up with. It's really hard to keep up with that. So you really do need a standard. But we talk about insecurities that we dealt with personally and how that transferred over obviously to friendships and our romantic relationships. But I think I would like for us to dive into how insecurities in a romantic relationship, and then we can go into friendships, because I think there's like that fine line of knowing what you bring to the table and being okay with that.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? And knowing that you're not going to bring everything to somebody's table.
I mean, that's where we was leading, but we just wanted to, we should have we definitely opened up with the fact that it's something that we have issues with also.
Yeah.
So it's not just like y'all specialize in relationships, or y'all always have things to say about relationships, but we're not really exposing ourselves. We talk about vulnerability. We talk about things of that nature that's very important in relationships. And if we're not going to be vulnerable with our listeners, then, there's no point. But it is about, I think that's a big insecurity as well.
What?
Vulnerability.
Yeah.
So that leads us to that. Like, a lot of people believe it's a badge of honor not to be vulnerable.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's a badge of honor not to put your eggs in one basket, but yet you are committed to people. You're committed to somebody romantically. You trust them with your heart, but you don't trust them with your money and your mind and your, mm-hmm. There's just so many things, your secrets, you know what I mean? Because you always think that, okay, when it goes bad, then they're going to now spread your secrets and do things of that nature. So maybe we need to stop dating people that we are just attracted to on a superficial level and start dating them because we believe that they're high in character.
Well, and also, insecurities really stem from trusting yourself.
Definitely.
So trusting yourself to make the right decision. So yes, I meet a guy, we hit it off, we have things in common, we see a future together, we end up together, right?
Definitely.
And then we break up. And now he's talking all the mess in the world about me. When you go in, going in, I didn't think, hey, this is how we'll end up and he would be how he was. But at the same time, I went in knowing that I trusted him at that moment because I trusted myself. Because you don't really see ahead. You don't see the future. So you don't really know All you can do is go off a track record, right? Who you know the person to be, and hope that the person has integrity and will do right by you, the relationship, and everything else.
I think integrity shows. Like, I disagree. I think integrity shows from the jump, because if he's talking about his ex, he's talking about his friends or people that, like, you would see.
But that's
because
what I said.
the
I
person
said integrity.
speaks.
But I said that he would have
No,
integrity.
he would have integrity, but you said you don't see that going forward. Like,
Well,
you can't
you
tell
don't
the
always-
future. But if you are paying attention,
Yeah.
you just probably saying something about his baby mother with him. You're probably talking about his
Yeah,
friends
I-
with him,
I stay away
his
from stuff.
ex-friends,
Yeah.
and things of that nature. But if you pay attention and how they talk about their past relationships and how they talk about the people in their relationships,
taking
how they never
responsibility.
took responsibility for their part, the part they played in it. They don't give you a full scope
Mm-hmm.
or a full picture of what really happened. They just have one bad guy. What the bad guy being the person they're not dealing with, and the good guy being them. Then there's a situation. Like, I believe that I gave my all to my relationships, so I don't think I did much wrong in the relationship in that regard. But I did do things by staying around a little longer or dedicating my time to somebody who really wasn't in the best place, and I committed to knowing that they weren't in the best place. That's on me. And I'm able to express that to the person. Like, it ain't because I had bad relationships. It's because the chemistry was off. It
Yeah.
wasn't because we're bad people. It's because the chemistry was off, and we couldn't maintain a romantic relationship. But the way you speak about a person, if you're paying attention and you're having a discussion with a person, then the way you speak of a person is big.
I agree. The signs are always there.
Definitely.
And the signs are always there. So you're right about that.
I'm not even
But,
say always. There's some people that are great at it.
Yeah, they are.
For
But for the most part, if you pay attention, you take your time, then you'll see certain things, and you should be able to challenge certain things or ask more questions, because you could be the person on the other end, right? At some point, if things don't go well. But you're right. So I do think that, you go into a relationship hoping for the best, and you have to be vulnerable enough to do that.
Definitely.
So that if you have to walk away, you know that you gave your all, and you don't have to second guess why the relationship didn't work to begin with, because people don't talk about that either. People don't necessarily talk about how someone was holding back, and the relationship didn't reach its full potential because someone was always holding back because they were afraid of X, Y, and Z.
Definitely.
You know what I
I think
mean?
a lot of insecurities, and where we're touching on and what we're noticing is a lot of insecurities stem from pain.
Yeah.
It stems from pain or feeling inadequate in an area, right? So, like, if you're being emotionally abused, but you're used to it or you're accustomed to it, you don't know what's happening. So I think that's when a person's saying, okay, I don't know. But that's why we have a podcast. That's why we have different outlets for people to really go and be educated on how a relationship or a healthy relationship should look, or what you should be getting in a healthy relationship if you really truly love, like, you really truly respect and care about who you are. Then you will put yourself in a position to succeed, or around people who you can create love with, right? So yeah, we do go in those relationships, and sometimes we don't feel worthy of the person, or we don't feel worthy of a relationship, so we bring all that in. And then we allow certain things there. And then that's what I'm saying in speech. You see how I said allow. We allow people to treat us a certain way over and over again. And we trick ourselves in believing we deserve that, because that's what relationships are about. They're about going through the trials and tribulations, but they shouldn't be created within a relationship constantly.
Well, no,
You know what I mean?
you also have the other side of it, where you meet someone who is bruised and broken, and you know that you can do right by that person, right? And you know that that person would thrive. Well, you believe that that person would thrive in a relationship with you, but because you're so opposite of what they were dealing with, they can't even appreciate what you bring to the table.
Definitely.
So you
They
going
don't
in
even know how to feel with love.
yeah,
True love
exactly.
is
So
really-
if you go in thinking that it's like you go into a situation thinking I'm the best person for you, but that person's not the best person for the other person.
Definitely.
Because you not necessarily want to save them, but you want to show them that there's a other side to this, and you are the other side of it. But if that person doesn't believe in that, or believe they deserve that, then it's really not going to work either.
But I think the insecurities, that would be an unhealthy relationship based on the fact that one person's giving,
Yeah,
the other
absolutely.
person's taking. So because they weren't, quote unquote, with the best person, they come in saying, oh my God, now it's my time to relax and somebody to show me that I deserve the world. When they should bring that same energy that they brought to their last relationship to the new relationship, and then have that person accountable for bringing that same energy to match their energy, so they can have something special. But our insecurities follow us.
Yeah.
They constantly follow us. So we felt inadequate in our last relationship. we bring those inadequacies in our next relationship, and what do we combat it with anger. We combat it with resentment. We become rebels. We feel like people are trying to control us, and like we talked about in our definition segment on our story on our Facebook and Instagram stories, we were talking about how control is not even a bad thing. We just use it independent and say, okay, it's control. But really, if a person can't control you when you're in a bad situation or influence you because they're interchangeable, you can't, you know what I mean? Like they can't help you out of those situations. They can't tell you, listen, you need to take a step back. That's also control. That's also influence. So we need to understand that there's a lot of insecurities that come along with these relationships, and we need to start tackling them and start talking about them, because that's where it starts. Like, you feel inadequate in bed. There's people like, why wouldn't we feel inadequate in bed? We don't talk enough. Yeah. You know, I talk to women all the time, and they always talking about how the size of a man's penis once that person's not there, or how bad they were in bed, or how lazy they were in bed. And they're talking to other men, and they're having discussions with other men, and then men don't have sex with men. So we really don't know. Well, yeah, I'm talking about, they can have sex with men, excuse me. But I'm saying those heterosexual men don't have sex with women. So the dialogue needs to be with the women, and the women need to talk to the men, so we can have an understanding of how each other wants certain things done in a sexual manner, right? But we talk to men, and women talk to women, and they overhear the other people talking to the other people. You get what I'm saying? So it breeds insecurity in a sexual way. Yeah. And a lot of the women lash out because they feel like that's where their strength is. In the bedroom, and that's where they feel they're in control, and they can go at a man's character. But when you talk about size, and when you talk about a person being good, like remember I did that survey about size, and we was all sitting in the room. It had to been like eight men and about 7 women, and we all was sitting in the room, and all these women was talking about size, whatever. Then I surveyed all the women after that, and their biggest partner wasn't even their best partner. So I said, why are we sitting here talking about size, and we're not talking about, you know, like we're not sitting here talking about connection? You know, like 2 women that I surveyed out of about 30 women said that their smallest partner was their best partner because it was more of an emotional connection. The person was present. The person was understood their body. The person understood, you know, like listened to their needs, listened to their wants, things of that nature. So it shows that sex really deals with a spiritual connection. So a person could be, real good in bed, but is that going to last for the long haul when you're not really spiritually connected to a person?
No,
so
it really
we need to start talking about, and that's what breeds these insecurities. It's a lot of people dealing with things on a superficial level. You know what I mean? Like, intellect is not really like going to maintain a relationship. We can be attracted to somebody because they're intellectually sound, and we can want an intellect for a partner, which is one component of what you want in a partner, but and you should get it if you want it, definitely. But really, it all boils down to character. That's what's going to allow the relationship to flourish. And I think a lot of people are, you know, they especially the ones that always run around talking about, I don't want to be judged. They obviously got flaws in their character. So they use different things to, you know, to offset their inadequacies when it comes to character, like getting, like, you know, being really intelligent, or being really popular, or dressing nice.
But aside from the superficial stuff, is just really being self-aware. And I think when you are self-aware and you know who you have a good sense of who you are, what you bring to the table, and understand the role that you play in whoever's life, that's like a game changer. Because once you realize that, then you play your position, and you play the role that you are meant to play in that situation. Like, who I am with you is different than the person I am at work, and who I am at work is the person I am, and with the person I'm dating. You know what I mean? Like, so it changes, and I think that you need to be aware of that, and aware of of the things that you do bring to the table, and not try to compete with everyone else. Like, everyone's competing with somebody else, and it's like, I'm competing with you, but you don't even know I'm competing with you. Definitely. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that people is always like, I would say greedy. Like, they're looking for what's on somebody else's plate, but yet they can't perfect what's on their plate, and not really perfecting what they have going on.
But I do think, like, you hit it. I mean, you summed what I was saying up, but it is about, when you talk about self-awareness, I just want people to see that it all stems from character. If you have a strong character, 9 times out of 10 you are self-aware, and 9 times out of 10 you are confident. But when you're looking for other things outside of the character to offset certain character flaws you have, you're always going to feel inferior. You're always going to feel that void. Because if I'm like a horrible human being, or I'm really nasty, or I'm a cheater, or I can't really commit, but I dress nice, but I'm really intelligent, but I'm really artsy, but I'm really successful, there's still going to be a void missing. Why? Because you haven't strengthened your character. So you're not self-aware enough. Our awareness, self-awareness comes from our character, the character traits we have. So if you strip everybody, you introduce yourself to somebody, because I understand, like, physically, I'm not dating somebody I'm not attracted to.
Yeah.
Right from the beginning, just off of character. So we understand it's just because we have the belief that I can find somebody I'm attracted to that has great character at the same time. So you should get all the quote unquote things people call superficial. When they say superficial or surface, they just mean things you can see. You know what I mean? Your character you have to dive into. So you should get both. I'm saying superficial can work, but it's not gonna be a long lasting commitment until you understand your worth when it comes down to your character. So a lot of insecurities come from lack of character, is what I was trying to lead to. But you summed it up by saying self-worth, because self-awareness, because that's the main focus. Everybody says self-love, but really what you're focused on is being more self-aware so you can introduce yourself to other people.
Yeah, so like in touching back on being self-aware and character, and it's when you know what you bring to the table, and you know who you are, and when, like you said, confidence is knowing who you are in every room, right?
Definitely.
So when you know who you are in every room, then you take a back seat when you need to take a back seat. You're not looking for validation. You know what I mean? Like, you know that you play a certain role and that's what you're supposed to play. And even whether you get recognition or not, right? And I know this is hard for a lot, and it used to be hard for me too. Like, it's like
For a lot of people. You said it's hard for a lot.
Oh, my bad. I sound slow.
Well, yeah. We all do
hard
it.
for a lot of people. That's just the brain going faster than my mouth.
Just what I was talking about my writing.
Hard for a lot of people, and I forgot my train of thought.
Oh. You saying like it'll be hard for a lot of people to really establish their roles and not get the validation that they deserve.
So because a lot of people believe that I put in the work, I need the pat on the back. Okay. Right? Instead of, like you said, when it comes to character, if that's who you are, right? And that's what you believe in, then yes, getting recognized you're not looking to get recognized all the time. You're going to get recognized in general for being consistent, obviously, but you're not looking for that pat on the back all the time.
You might not even get recognized by the wrong people, but you always get recognized by the right people.
Yeah.
If you take your character everywhere you go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So I learned that over time. Like, I have I work, like I have a really strong work ethic, and I show up every day. I'm consistent, right? And everyone knows me to be consistent. And does everyone pull me to the side like, hey, Jerry, you're doing a great job today? No, not all the time, but it comes out in other ways,
Definitely.
Right? And it comes out because a lot of people respect me. And, I'm not, and I'm not saying I'm not perfect at work all the time. I don't always make the best decisions at times. But I do know that the recovery is a lot easier because I know what I'm capable of. Definitely. And I know that if I made one mistake one day, that doesn't mean that that's 1,000 mistakes going forward. That means I can just go back and correct my mistake and just move forward.
So you saying confidence is the cure to insecurity?
Agreed.
Because
knowing what you bring to the
knowing exactly what you bring to the table, and not wanting more, not wanting less, just understanding what you bring. Like
staying in your lane.
Everybody understand. Like, and I think it's the agenda is pushed like everybody's a leader.
And everybody's not a leader.
The agenda is pushed that everybody's a motivator and everybody's
but that's not true.
Everybody's handsome and cute in their own right. Like there's an agenda that's pushed just to make everybody feel comfortable in their own skin. But if you know that you walk in a room and you're like the 7th best looking person out of 25 people, you're still in the high echelons of people in the room. You know what I mean? You still have your pick more than other people. Mm-hmm. So like just give credit where credit's due. And I think a lot of insecurity stems from the belief. Obviously it's in our minds. It's the belief in our heads that we're not good enough. Mm-hmm. Like when I couldn't public speak is because I believed everybody in the room was judging me the way I judged myself, the way I felt about myself, the way like I felt. I didn't feel intelligent. I didn't feel smart. I didn't feel like I can get my point across. I didn't feel like people could actually hear what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was speaking low. I felt that, there's just so many feelings And that's why we talk about getting caught up in your feelings is not the greatest thing, because there was a lot of feelings, but there wasn't things that was actual. Because when you talk to some people in my class, they're like, you know, I thought you was one of the smartest guys in the room. You know what I mean? One of the smartest guys in the class. But when you get up there, you just froze. Like, so I still believed you were smart. Like, that didn't change. Because when it came to raising your hand, answering questions, when it came to participating, you was a person that can be on point from your seat, but you just had a phobia when it came to the front. And there's people that were able to explain that to me, and I'm like, damn, they see that, but you can't see that.
No, you're harder on yourself.
You're in your head, and that's why we encourage people, when you have an insecurity, talk about it. You really would see how many people you could connect the dots with, how many people would assist you, how many people would help you. And it took those people and me having a discussion and me opening up about it to help me push past it, or to help me either accept it and say, listen, I don't want to public speak.
Yeah.
Maybe I want to be the speech writer. You know what I mean? It made me allow myself to say, listen, this is the lane I want to be in, and this is where I'm going to go. But obviously I want to change lives. That's where you want to go. I want to be a person who makes helps people relationships. So this is where you want to go. So now we're on the mics. This wouldn't have been something both of us wanted to do.
No.
Because we both didn't really like talking and doing all this other stuff and being on radio or we both weren't public speakers. Really.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But we are people who believe in leadership. We are people that say, if you're really truly a leader, you overcome your insecurities, you don't live in fear, and you conquer things. So that's why we did it. So when you talk about relationships, it's the same way. You wake up every day and you conquer. You conquer your fears, you conquer your insecurities, you talk about your insecurities. You don't talk about how they make you feel, you talk about what's going on. You talk about how it makes you feel, but you don't talk about how that person's making you feel based on how you feel about yourself, is what I'm saying.
Well, yeah, you can't get caught up in that. You have to push past it. Like,
Definitely.
even like one of my insecurities was the fact that I never finished school. Like, that was
Definitely.
big for me. And working in a corporate...
Well, never went to college.
Never went to college. Oh, yeah, high school.
College.
Yeah, never finished college.
Yeah.
That was a big insecurity for me, because I have a corporate job. So, everyone, finished college, and have all these degrees and maybe even the MBA, and I didn't. So I used to feel like I wasn't good enough until, I continued to push forward, and now I'm a director. And, and I don't have any student loans to pay back.
Definitely.
And, I would have never thought, like, the younger version of me would have never even thought.
And actually, you got all your education from the people who came back from college.
Yeah,
so you had the
much.
ability to take it and apply it, and that's all it's about. Application.
And I've been in the industry for 16 years, and yeah, I would have never thought, the younger version of me would have never thought that was even possible.
Definitely. I
was very insecure, and I was intimidated by people that were on a certain level and thinking that I couldn't do the job, or that I wasn't made out for the job. And all I needed was experience. And once I got my experience and realized and learned the industry and learned certain things, like, I became unstoppable. And now no one can take that away from me.
And the funny thing is, you dated men that actually went to college and felt inferior to you because you was making more money and because you didn't have student loans to pay back, and because you was very confident. You was able to take in information and apply it a lot better than they were. So that goes to show, college, we bring all kind of different baggage in with us. You know what I mean? The fact that you had all these insecurities before you even meet a person, the insecurities you're talking about, the fact that the insecurities I have, I talk about before I meet a person. And then when now you're in a situation where you might have to go in with, might have to show those insecurities with their family members or their friends, and the pressure of that makes you now want to point fingers at them. Like, you want to point. And I think insecurities is like what we say, love is a group journey. Insecurities kill us. They kill our relationships silently. You know what I mean? And we have to share. We have to go through this together. Love is a group journey. We have to work at it together. And there are people that are, quote unquote, we call them spies in our relationships, that just sit back and they never assist you on it. They just taking notes. So when they not in your life anymore,
or when they're upset,
they targeting you and they're pointing out your insecurities. Now that's abuse. So you should know the difference. And there's certain people that point out your insecurities and stay on top of you because they want you to be the best person you can be. And a lot of times those people are looked at as being the villain, or they're looked at as being the person that's harping on you. But really, they're the ones that care about you, because they're trying to get you to talk about your insecurities. They're trying to get you to conquer your insecurities, because you should not live in a relationship in fear.
No, and you know what? It's up to us to change the narrative. So if
Definitely.
we don't want to be, if we don't want to be something, we can change it. And it doesn't happen overnight. It has to, you have to work at it every day. You have to chip away at it every day, but you can change it. You know, so the person that I was 10 years ago is not the person I am now, because there were certain things about my 10-year-old self, myself 10 years ago that I wasn't a big fan of. So I changed it.
Definitely.
So I think that, you know,
I think that just to, I just wanted to cut you off real fast, because I think that that's overly stated. Like the person you was 10 years ago is the person you are now, because your character was still the same. You just did different things. Like you try to explore things. You try to go outside of who you are. You know what I mean? Because the person I knew you to be is still the same person that exists now. The person I met, the person that going forward, the person I knew you to be is the same person, because the reason why we actually were a team and the fact that we actually did get along is based on your character.
Yes, but I believe that I was doing things. I wasn't as mature, I would say. So I don't think.
Did you feel comfortable in your skin? Would you say wouldn't you say when people finally get comfortable in who they are and they're self-aware, they're finally living who they are?
That's how I feel currently.
They finally found who they are.
But I don't always feel that way.
Because you didn't feel that way because you was going against who you was. So that's why I say a lot of people overstate, like, oh, I learned, I grew. No, you really, because once you find who you are, you kind of maintaining it, right? Like you go through life trying to assist other people to find where you at. Because that's the whole point of us having accountable love. Because we actually found the comfort zone. We actually have our slippers on and we're comfortable. We just want to get other people to put their slippers on and get that same comfort. So now we're educating. And that's where you get to that place where you're educating. Now you're maintaining it. So like when somebody tries to take it away or you find yourself slipping, you now know how to remind yourself that, no, this is not who I am. I'm this person.
Yeah, but I
think you always been that person. You just was finding your way down. So I think that you are who, like from the outside looking in, I've always known who you are. You just haven't always shown who you are. So that's what I mean by when everybody.
But I guess I
always
wasn't
says,
always
like,
comfortable who I was. So
I wasn't the same person. You was the same person. You just wasn't. You was the same person. You wasn't just acting yourself. Wouldn't you say?
I mean,
you wasn't being your true self.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
I guess we can say, that you can go back and forth and say, well, then she wasn't the same person. But the point is, if I knew then that you can be this, that you're this person now, nothing changed in my eyes, but your actions and things that you did, that I'm like, yeah, she needs to grow up. You need to mature, and you need to really figure out you need to start being who you are more consistently. Definitely. But it didn't change from a person outside looking in. Anybody that knows you go talk to anybody, and they're gonna be like, same old Jerry. Nobody's good. Like nobody sees that big of a change. I can guarantee you. That's all in your head.
Maybe that's insecurity. No.
I'm just saying. I think that's in your head.
I think that I thought I was very immature in certain areas, and I think that now I kind of matured, and maybe to your point, I matured into who I was always. Maybe I was just too wise for my own good at a certain point in my life. But I do think that currently I'm relaxing into life. And I don't believe that that's always been something I've ever really did.
I know, because you was immature in certain areas.
Yeah.
But you knew who you were. You just wasn't, you was going outside of who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like you knew that you had the discipline, because when you think of people you know, let's sit back and think of some of the people you knew. And then you see them now and you're like, that's who they are. Like you knew that that's who they always were. No matter what they did outside of that. You got to see who they were, the core who they are. And if you really truly meet a person and you really truly get to know a person, you really see the core who they are. So that's who they're going to live as. You get what I'm saying? So, I mean, we can go back and forth about that, but I'm just saying, I just didn't want, like, I hate that narrative of I now figured out who I was, and now I think you always have a sense of self. You just fighting with it. But you always have a sense of self. It's just more fun in this world to dive into different things.
But I guess I was just going off of the comfort of then and the comfort of now, and how I'm really comfortable where I'm at right now, and I wasn't always comfortable in other spaces.
Definitely.
So I think that that's where I was comparing it to. But again, back to insecurity. Yeah, it's one of those things where you have to get ahead of it, and you have to be aware of it, and you have to believe that you are worth it. You have to believe that you deserve it. Like, you deserve certain things, because when you don't, then you create these relationships where people start working for you. Like, that's like,
I think that's
and
where the saying knowledge is power comes in. Because like I have a horrible handwriting. So if somebody walked up and said, listen, you're gonna have to type this for me because your handwriting's horrible. My handwriting's horrible. Like, knowledge is power. I know my handwriting's horrible. So when somebody says that to me, it doesn't throw me for a loop. I think when you learn new information at the time, at a new time, like, and people's saying it as if like you had to know this. Because how many people you say something to and it's like, there's no way you went through your whole life without knowing this. But it's the first time they're hearing it. So then now you're like, okay, everybody, like, you need to dead all your friends, stay away from all your friends, because nobody told you this.
Yeah.
So you got to understand, like, knowledge is power, and that goes back to the insecurity. Like, you have to have a great sense of self. You have to understand what you're strong at and what you're weak at, which we talk about all the time.
But you have to your point earlier, you have to have people around you that's willing to have those conversations with you.
Definitely.
So, like, if something's like, how many ladies we see out with outfits that are not so flattering?
Or they wigs looking crazy.
Yeah, like, seriously, this whole wig thing, like, who are your friends? Like, why are you looking out like that?
I mean, now everybody's like to each his own. You know, everybody has their own style, their own movement. But that's the thing, like, so you got homegirls, and you got some guy friends, and no one's telling you that your wig is off. Like, you know, it's nobody wants, because they already know that this person may have some insecurities in some form of fashion. Definitely.
So they don't want to add to it. So then you start working for them instead of working with them. And
so that
I think
would be
that
good.
that's why,
don't cater to insecurities, like, help them through it.
Yeah.
That's what real friendship would be.
Absolutely. Like, you have to have those hard conversations. It's not about, like, you're not going to always hear things that are warm and fuzzy. Like, and sometimes it's a blow. I mean, I know I said this before, and you're probably going to kick me under the table, but, you know, Aziz hates...
Oh, shoot, now.
No.
Yet again. Yet again. Don't call the cops, nobody. Damn.
You know, Aziz doesn't like my braids. He thinks that it's not my best look. But I love my braids because it's very convenient. And I don't think it takes away from my look.
Again, she's talking about convenient, but you like I'm talking about it doesn't look as flattering. You talking about whether it's your comfort. Once you add it to, when you're telling me it's comfortable, I'm like, do your thing. My job is to make sure when you leave the house and know that maybe you might not get as many people hollering.
That's not true. I was popping all summer.
Okay, whatever. Maybe your joint looking crazy. You know what I mean? Maybe, you know, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, my job is just to make sure and prepare you for all the backlash you may get based on what my perspective of what's going on. So I'm gonna say it, whether I'm wrong, right? Like, I might speak for the majority and be wrong, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna say it because I don't want you to be bombarded or thrown off guard when somebody says something to you that's not that may not go in the right direction. Well, so I think that you need, and I don't think that you look horrible with your braids. So let's go with that. I just don't like the braid look on you. Like, I always want you to look your best. So I'm saying I think that that's not your most flattering look. You still look nice with braids because you're an attractive woman. You're just not. It's not your most flattering look. So I'm thinking you can pop all summer with a more flattering look. But you broke it down to me. You're like, y'all gotta go to beauty parlor. My hair sweats out. It's not really worth it. I get it. So at that point, I get it. But
so I said that to say,
I am going to be honest.
As my friend, I still got my braids because, you know, like, he's my friend. Like, who cares, right? Although I do care what he thinks. Not enough for me not to get it. Now, if he was my man, I think that I may have but I may have thought twice about it because everyone wants your man to be attracted to them, right?
You still getting the braids.
I probably would have still got them
because it's convenient.
But again,
I think you had a good enough reason. That's why you have the dialogue. Like, if you'd have been like, yo, you know, I think I look beautiful with these braids. I just think I look great with these braids. You'd have went in on me. And, like, we'd have stayed on your best look. We'd have stayed on that topic. I'd have smashed you in it. Because I'd have just brought up pictures. I'd have had evidence. But once you hit me with the reason and you hit me with the logic, why would I even battle that? Like, it is more logical. It's more economic. It's smart. So why would I go against the intellect of it? Why would I go against the logic of it, the intellect of it? Why would I go against the logic of it?
That's a college word that I don't know.
Why not go through the logic of it as opposed to, I'm not going to combat that. I'm just trying to have you at your best at all times. So I think as a friend, back to what you were saying, as a friend or a partner, we need to have the hard discussions so we can have our partners at their best. And if they're going to say, I'm going to do this anyway, like y'all always used to be like, yo, you need to get some tighter pants. I used to I'm wearing my baggy pants. I'm a 90s guy. That's what I wanted. That's my comfort. And y'all like, yo, you know, the sneakers is still like the pants. Back of the pants is rubbing all on the ground. Like, come on, get it together. And my thing is like, yo, I'm just not like, I got thick thighs. I'm not that dude. But when you had to go shopping all over again because your pants is all messed up, you had no choice but to get tighter. You know what I mean? But y'all did tell me, and I disregarded it regardless because I wanted what I wanted, right? And it did stop me from getting certain women because women told me once I kind of sat down and had a whole discussion and informed that they should be honest with me about certain things, then they finally told me. But the point is, I understood that some people really wouldn't want a man with baggy pants and all this other stuff. They wouldn't want it. So I understood that I was losing certain options based on the way I was dressing. But y'all gave me, that wasn't the first time I heard it. I heard it from my peoples first. So when I left the house, everything was all good. People can tell me all kinds of things and it doesn't throw me off. Because that's where it's at. Like, people going to think you're slow. People going to do this. You read out loud, you're going to stutter. People, y'all break things down to me. So now I'm like, okay, when I get up there, this may be this situation. This may be how they view me. This may be their opinion. You get what I'm saying? And it's cool. And then after that, that's what gives me the confidence because I know.
Well, I think
it's a weakness. I know.
Yeah. Well, I think because we create that safe space. And I say safe because we are able to talk about anything here. And when we do leave each other and we leave this space, we're preparing each other for what may be, like, what if someone was to be honest, about certain things, that these are the things that we may hear back.
Definitely.
So I think that that's also, like, I always feel like I have an advantage because I already know, like, I'm pointing out my insecurities or things that are looking weird on me before somebody else does, or they're saying like, oh, I'm like, oh yeah, my head looks big, right? I'm like, yeah, but nobody really would say anything because they're trying, yeah. I'm like, I already know my head looks big because Aziz told me my head looks big, or like,
definitely,
or I was kind of like iffy about this outfit, but I wore it anyway, and as you know what I mean, like, it could have went either way, and then like, yeah, it could, but it's nice to go in knowing these things because then you don't really totally get crushed by it by other people.
And that's when you start building healthy and equal relationships because you don't feel like you have to like tiptoe around somebody. You can just, and that's what I think you mean by when you say a safe space because we don't have to tiptoe. We can just talk freely because the insecurities out there on the table, and we actually go another step further, and we, because we are Spanish Harlem people, so we snap on each other about them. You know what I mean? So we like actually make sure that the person actually has to improve it based on banter and being.
Well, if that's what they want, like, we believe that if you don't want something, change the narrative.
Definitely.
Like, if you don't want to be called fat, then if you don't want to be fat, then lose weight. You know what I mean? Or
Definitely.
if
explain you have a thyroid problem and then educate people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, don't ask people to cater to something that they deem not not appropriate for them. If they don't like it, this is we're talking about personal relationships. We're not talking about walking up to somebody and just saying you're fat. Walking up to them. I mean, that's not a personal relationship. But if we're all in a personal space, we're all a group, and we're in a room, we shouldn't have to like whisper around the big girl. Like, I don't understand why she ordered a burger when she knows she needs to be having a salad. Like, you know what I mean? And it's our friend. So when she leave the table, we now we're talking about that. So like, it just breeds unhealthiness, and it breeds us talking behind each other's backs. Or if you don't have nothing nice to say, and then it's gonna come out. So I'm just gonna be like, yo, you sure you and I on that diet? Like, you gonna just order that burger? Like, I'm gonna have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
We're gonna start the dialogue, and she's gonna be like, listen, I'm gonna eat this burger because I want to eat it, and X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. But then when I can't sit in the 2-seater with you, then we're gonna have another problem, right? Because I'm sitting down, you can stand on the train. So we'll have a whole dialogue about it based on, and we'll set a different set of rules based on the decision that person made, because every decision we make affects other people. And people need to start understanding that when you join relationships. So your insecurities will destroy your relationship. And somebody catering your insecurities, they'll start resenting you.
Yeah, they do.
They'll start resenting you over time. They'll start feeling some type of way over time. They'll feel trapped. And the person that doesn't want to hear about the insecurities, they'll start resenting the person telling them about the insecurities, and they'll feel trapped in the relationship. And there's a lot of stuff going on in people's heads that's not even being rectified. And health is not primary. It's not the primary reason why we have relationships anymore. I thought it was to be in a healthy environment. I thought it was to be
in an equal relationship.
You know what I mean? So those are things you think about.
Yeah,
right?
but once you start looking for validation, you just change the whole dynamic of the relationship. So it's that one simple, you could look better in this, and it's not even good. It's you are saying good and bad things, but you happen to point out something bad, and I'm just taking it for what it is.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Because you're not hurting my feelings per se, although it may sting. And I know that you're coming from a good place. So it's like, damn, maybe you're right, and really think about what's being said and not really getting caught up in the feelings.
But if you're around people that you think highly of, most things are gonna be positive. It's just what people tend to hear is the difference. You know what I mean? Because there's things I said to you, and that's all you talked about for a week. I know. And I'm like, yo, but I said your shoes was nice. I said you looked nice. And all I did was say, why did you wear that bra with that? And now you're like, yo, but my bra, like you fixate on it. And I'm just like, yo, but everything else looks nice. The bra throws it off, but you still look nice. You know what I mean? Like, and then we fixate on the things that the person pointed out. So it's not really the person, it's us, because they gave us 10 good things and only said one bad. And it's us that's focusing on the bad over and over again, because we got this idea of perfection is what people are looking for. And really they're just looking for somebody they can relate with, build with, connect with, and walk through life with. So in doing that, they know that there's going to be mishaps. They know that there's going to be things that they're going to have to go through. Anybody that is smart and really, really ready for a relationship, they know commitment comes with conflict.
Yes.
So they know that. You know what I mean? So if you're really ready for it, you're now strapped up, ready to get it done. I'm not talking about having to go through things like cheating and all that other nasty, beating on you and speaking to you all kind of nasty. No, that's not a relationship, but the trials and tribulations of life. You know what I mean? Like, you might have went down the street and had to use the bathroom, and
what?
You know what I mean? Like, went down the street, had to use the bathroom, you had the bubbles.
I was like, what?
The bubble gut.
And you using, okay.
No, you might have had the bubble gut. Maybe you walking down the street with me and you partners, you got the bubble gut. You might have not made it to the toilet.
Wow.
Well, it's nasty, but this is what I'm saying. That's the intensity of a relationship.
That you want.
I'm going to go hard. That's the intensity of a relationship. What you going to do? I can go the opposite way and be like, yo, this chick is nasty. Or I can
why
try
I got to be the chick? Why can't be you?
I'm saying, but in the example, it was you.
I'm leaving you.
See, this is what I'm saying. And now we know.
I got rights.
Now we know where she's at. You know what I mean? But I'm saying, I'm cleaning you up. I'm supporting you. I'm going to help you
like
through
we're
it.
in a relationship, or we're like dating. Like, what's happening?
I don't care
here?
what it is, because we know now. I have an understanding that these things happen.
No, you're right. I'll help you out.
So okay, whatever. She out. But what I'm saying is, I understand these things happen. That's what I mean by natural life things. It could be as extreme, but it happens. You know it happens.
Well, yeah, I PM
you know it happens.
Sometimes.
Oh, see, look at you, look at you. You know it happens. Okay, when a woman's pregnant, she laughing and peeing. Like, you know it happens. Yeah. You got to help her out. You know how many times I had to go over the belly and help? Like, you got to help out. Like, if you really in for the long haul, you're in for the long haul. And one thing I notice is people that want to be with somebody, they'll be with them through all their bullshit, right? Yeah. Somebody that really doesn't want to be with you and you're a good human being, they'll constantly find ways not to be with you.
Like you shitting in an alley.
Yeah, like you shitting in an alley. You know what I mean? So obviously Jerry wouldn't want to be with me because she's not cleaning the kid up. But but I'm just saying, like, those are the things that can go on. So that can breed an insecurity.
Yeah.
Now all you can think is, every time you see me, I think you as doo-doo girl. No, I think you my girl.
Why back on me now?
Because you was the person.
You
no, I
shit
didn't.
In the alley. It wasn't me.
No, you dooted on yourself, man. You dooted on yourself, man. It was you. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to. I don't see you as such. I see you as a person that had an accident, and I had to support you. Am I tease you about it? Definitely. Are we gonna snap on it? Definitely. But after we over the situation, not during the situation, but after we clean you up and whatever, and be like, yo, did that just happen? Now we're going to have a discussion about it. And over time, talking about it, you're going to get through your insecurity, because you're going to understand that I'm here. No matter what I'm saying out my mouth, I'm here.
Oh.
So,
ladies, he's single.
Oh my God. Stop it. So I'm just saying, like, you got to think about it. Like, insecurities are all in our head, but they kill our relationships more than anything else in this world.
Yeah.
anything. If you're not ready, I mean, half of the bad things, the cheating and stuff, happens due to insecurity.
Yeah, because you don't feel
The lying
really
and the secrets
worthy
and
within the relationship, so
definitely.
you step out. Yeah.
All of it happens because of insecurity. So if you really want a powerhouse marriage and you really want a strong relationship with your friends, talk about everything, anything and everything. Don't stop limiting yourselves and stop putting everything's on the table. Put everything out on the table and just have the discussion, because insecurities are killing us.
Yes,
They're
absolutely.
destroying our relationships, and we're here to create equal and healthy and meaningful and just relationships. So, that's all we're going to talk about dealing with insecurities. But my name's Aziz.
I'm Jerry.
And this is Accountable Love.
Peace.